Universal Pictures proudly presents a very special motion picture. Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda, on Golden Pond.
Listen, this Norman Thayer Jr. over in Golden Pond.
Oh, Norman, it's so beautiful. Everything's just waking up.
Ethel Thayer. Sounds like I'm lisping, doesn't it?
My, oh, my, you have on a tie.
Yes, I know. I put it there.
You look sexy.
I hear you turned 80 today.
Is that what you heard?
Man, that's really old.
You should meet my father.
Hey, oh, Mommy, darling. It means so much to him to have you here.
Look at this little fat girl, Ethel.
Sure, now he's got someone he can pick on.
Bill Ray. Bill Ray.
Yes, sir.
The dentist?
Yes, sir.
Want to see my teeth?
Oh.
We like to sleep together in the same room, same bed. You know, if it's not offensive to you.
Said they wanted to sleep together.
You and I did, didn't we?
I guess I'd be delighted to have you abuse my daughter under my own roof. Would you like the room where I first violated her mother?
What I'd like to know is why you enjoy playing games. You seem to like beating people.
But, darling, you're wrong about your dad. He does care. He cares deeply.
I'm afraid of him.
Well, he's afraid of you. So you should get along fine.
No, he won't. And you know why? Because he doesn't care. He is a selfish son of a...
I know I'm just being dumped here. Turkeys don't want me.
Bull. This is a trout. What do you do up there in California?
Cruise chicks.
What do you do with them when you have them?
Suck face.
Good God!
Hey, man, you don't have to yell at me.
He wasn't yelling at you. He was yelling at life.
What the heck does that mean?
Oh, that means he's like an old lion. He has to remind himself that he can still roar.
Scared me half to death. Billy! Billy! That's why I came running back here to you. See your pretty face.
Listen to me, mister. You're my knight in shining armor. Don't you forget it.
It seems that you and me have been mad at each other for so long.
I didn't know we were mad. I thought we just didn't like each other.
I want to be your friend.
Want to dance? Or would you rather just suck face?
Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda, Jane Fonda. Lord Great presents a Mark Rydell film on Golden Pond.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, that kind of helps. It also helps if I turn on the sound before we start speaking, before everyone goes, what? But I did that. That was intentional, to see, because I wanted everyone to go, what? I can't hear you. Turn up. My thing's not working. I mean, I can't understand what's going on. Yes, hello, welcome to On Golden Pond. We're getting back there. Holy shit, that went for a long time.
I mean, yeah, you don't need to watch the movie now, but I still think you should. Not. But we'll discuss that.
Yeah.
I just love a 3-act trailer. That was amazing.
A 3-act trailer was absolutely amazing, and it's a cinematic masterpiece. And I want to refer to something I can just see off the side. I know that I point that way, and it's not actually true. It's that way. But if I saw off to the side there was a comment by Rob. Yes, I'm going to get back to Cocoon, because if there's something that is a through line on this, it is Old People Water and Wilford Brimley, which brings us to Cocoon a bit later. Anyway. On Golden Pond. Hello, Peter. How are you? How are you going? Did you get up to anything recently?
Oh, well, I fell over this morning. Is that what you're getting at?
Sure. Yeah, that's the thing I remember about you, is that you fell over today.
Good old public stack is the most interesting thing that has happened to me recently. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing else. You can't think of a single thing else that maybe that happened? Nope. Nothing? Great. Well, we're just going to leave that elephant sitting in the room and get on to this very special episode. Yes, Quinny and Jill were off at PAX over the weekend, so we gave them the night off because why not? They're not important anyway. And we're just you're left with us as we talk about two of the films that are near and dear to our hearts. For me, I picked On Golden Pond, a 3-time Oscar winning film from the early 80s. And Peter, you picked an interesting genre film, Hard Target. Like, what do you love about Hard Target?
Well, I feel like what's really interesting about the synergy of the films that we're reviewing tonight is that they're both about complicated father-daughter relationships, and that is the closest I could get.
It's the through line that we're going to have here.
Yep, that's it. That's a very strong similarity between these two.
Very strong similarity. Well,
really makes sense to talk about them together for that reason.
Look, this has been an interesting journey into both of our minds, I believe. For you have picked a slow, kind of beautiful, emotional role based on a play, great cinematography, lovely scenes, excellent acting by the two leads, and some, acting by the rest of the cast. Set around a few of the notions of dying and old age, and rectifying between intergenerational trauma and all that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. And then there's another film about the same kinds of things, which is hunting people for sport. The same. It's really the same two films. Like, I think Hard Target, Golden Pond, same thing. No, but that's okay.
Poor Adsky went looking for a film called Hard Target on Golden Pond. So I maybe we should have been a little bit more specific about.
No, I love that. Did you find a movie called Hard Target on Golden Pond?
If we wanted people to do their homework.
Yeah. Didn't really. Don't worry that you're not. This is part of the fun of this, is that you can actually cut them together, much like we've got here. I mean, you can see here in one, Jean-Claude Van Damme bites the rattle off a snake, and on Golden Pond, an old guy who shouldn't be driving a boat lets a young boy who shouldn't be driving a boat drive a boat into a rock. Like, just things old people shouldn't do. Wilford Brimley is
Old people shouldn't do is another through line. Yeah. Well done. We're finding so much synergy between these movies.
Old people
already.
Shouldn't do. Yeah. In Hard Target, Wilford Brimley is an old man who lives in a swamp, much like Shrek, and makes booze on a still, which is highly flammable and actually is a plot point where he blows up. He blows up the still. That's something that he shouldn't do.
Yeah. He probably also shouldn't go running towards the danger with nothing but a bow and arrow to protect himself. But there's lots of things happen in that movie that people shouldn't do. Actually, now that I think.
Sure. All right. Well, let's get serious about it. We can do this very quickly too, because we don't have too much to go into. Can you tell me, Pete? You picked On Golden Pond.
Well, can I tell you why my reaction to you asking me to watch another Van Damme movie was to say, sure, but we're also talking about On Golden Pond?
Yes. Okay. You can explain that story if you want.
It was, the first movie that came to mind that it's a film that I've loved since I was a child. And that I thought a lot of people probably wouldn't go out and watch it, much like vintage Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. So I thought, I'm just going to add it to the mix. If I'm going to watch that,
I just need you to understand that these movies are only 10 years apart. They're not separated by too much. It's 1981 for On Golden Pond and 1993 for Hard Target.
I mean, I still don't think that a lot of people are going out to watch Hard Target on purpose. I will say that I was offended though that I could watch Hard Target on one of my streaming services, and yet there are zero streaming services or places to purchase On Golden Pond in Australia. A travesty. This is a multiple Academy Award winning film that premiered to critical acclaim.
It sounds.
And the other one is Hard Target,
It sounds like you're sucking up to the Academy here, Peter. Are you going for an Oscar next? Like, this is the kind of thing I'm worried about.
I mean, look, I kind of feel like anything can happen now.
Yeah.
Although I am still kind of expecting somebody to knock on the door and tell me that the Emmy was a mistake. So I just got to kind of settle into that one first.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, they can't get it off you. You could take Peter's Emmy from her cold dead hands. It's not happening. Yeah. So yeah, okay.
So why do I love On Golden Pond? I think that was probably the essence of the question that you asked.
I mean, if you watched the trailer that we just played for On Golden Pond, you have literally watched the entire film. As you know, something we realized when going through this is that old trailers for films are literally supercuts of what the entire film is about. It's like, oh, that looks like, oh yeah, I kind of know what's going to happen. All right, let's go back and watch the whole thing. In this one though, like I can ask you for a synopsis, but I'd feel like that's a little bit of a waste of time. Let's just get into.
We just saw the whole film, didn't we?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, look, my mum was a massive Katharine Hepburn fan, like
sure,
huge stan of Katharine Hepburn. So to the point where my older sister's name is Katharine. So we watched a lot of Katharine Hepburn films when I was a kid.
Sure.
But this is the one that really always stuck into my memory. And I think what I love about it, it is an adaptation of a screenplay, which means that it's super dialogue driven, which I absolutely love, which means it's, super character driven. And like you always say, Dion, like small stories, right? Like this is a small story of a family. And the particular relationships in this family and the particular characters, it's beautifully written in this very kind of heavy dialogue-y way that I really enjoy, and beautifully performed by Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn. And no, Rob, I was not named after Peter Fonda, but thank you for checking.
It's worth a point. It's a question here.
It is a the music is absolutely magical, and I don't know, it's just something that's just always it's one of those films that I've just watched so many times that I can quote it by heart, and yet when I try to mention it to people, most of the time they've not seen it. So I thought, here's some motivation. See this film; it's wonderful.
I kind of know Katharine Hepburn's later work just from two quotes. One of them is, the calla lilies are in bloom. And the other is, the loons. The loons are calling us home. And it's like, oh, Jesus. I mean, that's kind of, I always found when I was watching On Golden Pond, because I watched it years ago, and it's kind of like, that's a lovely, sweet little film. And now I've gone back and watched it recently, and I'm like, holy shit, I hate the characters in this film, because I get so frustrated with them. And maybe that was a good point of the writing, as you said, Pete, because I was watching it and I'm going and messaging you, and I'm like, I hate that. I hate his character. I hate him. I hate Norman Thayer. Like, and that's probably just a good idea for Henry Fonda. Like, he's just done a great job because I actually hated the character.
I read that apparently Jane Fonda, and I did not fact check this, I just read it on the internet,
Sure.
but apparently she purchased the right to the play for the adaptation, specifically so that Henry Fonda could play that part. And the father-daughter relationship portrayed in the film very much paralleled their own. So
now I hate him
maybe
even more.
It was an excellent performance. Maybe it was just Henry Fonda being Henry Fonda. Hard to say.
I mean, like, this is the thing. I liked it in Grumpy Old Men when it was funny, whereas this one is just kind of like, someone needs to tell you to shut the fuck up. Like,
but I do think that is why it's good, because it is actually real. He's a really, really frustrating character. But do you not know? Even today, and I would think that it's for the time and the way that the power dynamic in a relationship was structured, and the way that families were structured for the time, I would say that the character probably rang quite true to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I can still see how it rings true, and I mean, I don't think it's changed too much, in the sense that, what do old men get to do? They get to be grumpy old men with no sort of recourse for some reason, and people just put up with it. because it's age. It's kind of the reverse ageist thing. You know, older people can be complete assholes for some reason. Um, and that they seem to be able to get away with it. But just in this, I just find it so annoying because Katharine Hepburn's, character is just like Ethel is wonderful. She's exactly what you want from an older lady, and she's effervescent. She still loves life. She wants to get out there and do everything, be everything. She's still got a joie de vivre um, across everything, and it just doesn't really match very well with Jean-Claude Van Damme's spin kicks. Sorry, no, I meant I had to go. Make sure you're still listening. With Norman Thayer's sort of character, and I kind of had this thing watching it. I was like, I know that he's going to get redeemed, but I don't want him to because he's such a dick. And even when he's being such a dick, she still absolutely, dotes on him. And I'm like, what has he done in his life that has made him able to get away with this shit? Like, it's a con.
I do think again, I feel like it's indicative of the balance in relationships that would have been seen a lot, and it's still seen a lot. I've seen plenty of relationships of elderly people where he is quite curmudgeonly and grumpy, and the more curmudgeonly and grumpy he gets, the more she overcompensates um, for him and for that, and takes on that kind of emotional load.
Yeah.
Essentially, it just feels quite true to life, even though it is kind of awful.
It is terrible. Like, I mean,
It is terrible, and that style of parenting is terrible, but was common.
Yeah.
Where because he's the man and he's the father, and he's essentially doesn't show love or affection. Awful, but
and still common to this day.
still common.
Yeah, it's still common to this. I think maybe it's just I'm more open to the understanding of like not putting up with that shit. It was like, all right then, yeah, I don't agree with that. That's some bullshit. I did see Rob asked in there how old were they. I think they were both born in the early 19, like Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda were both 1905, 1907. So I would have placed them just before their 80s.
Yeah, I think Henry Fonda was 76.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those, they're very literally playing to type in this kind of film. But I mean, I suppose that's why it's kind of they're either genius actors for playing these wonderful roles in a nice backdrop, or they just kind of played to type and didn't actually extend themselves too much. I just had like nice cinematography and for the time, a nice story wrapped around it. And in the end, it doesn't really go like there isn't really too much growth. There isn't really too much of a resolution between it. It's just that, they finally got Norman to be slightly less of an asshole. And maybe that's all that they could eventually get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But beautifully written. And the dialogue is a lot of fun, even when Norman is being an asshole.
Oh, it just pissed me off. It just
I guess because I love it. I quite like the
Sure.
I quite like the Norman being an asshole dialogue.
I mean, the funniest part was actually when we saw because we saw it in the trailer, was when he had to like talk to his daughter's new boyfriend and basically is being an absolute asshole to him, like straight to his face about sleeping in the same bed. Would you like to, perhaps you would like the bed that I violate? Would you like to violate my daughter in the bed that I share with my wife? It's like, what? Like,
the bed that I first violated her mother.
Yeah, all of that kind of, absolutely. I kind of get all that. Like, that's kind of funny, but by that time, I'm not on Norman's side. Like, I'm not there because and it is
You're not
also
supposed to be.
it is also like a little bit of a thing where he's like, yeah, I'm 45 and I'm just having this conversation with you because I'm trying to reach out and respect you, and you're just being a complete dick about everything. Yeah. So
it's also, got real, like, I think my compassion for Norman a little bit comes from that idea of aging. And I think a lot of his reaction is his fear. And like, I get that when, like, it must be terrifying
Sure.
to lose your senses and lose your memories and start losing your place in the world. Still not nice to be an asshole, but I think that that's something that really kind of hits hard in the film as well. That sense of aging and what it means and how scary it might be.
Yeah.
For both of the characters for different reasons.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's long.
It's
for
long.
what it is.
Well, I mean, it's like, is it longer than Hard Target?
I believe that yes. No, wait, hang on. On Golden Pond is 109 minutes, and Hard Target is 97 minutes. So I know that Hard Target felt longer for you. For you.
Is it long or is it epic? Longer. Thank you, Predicator. Epic. It's epic. Look, I would like. I know that not many people in the chat have actually. How many people in the chat have ever seen On Golden Pond?
Don't know.
I'm waiting for the delay so that we can get the response. But I like. Would you? Okay, as like not a immediate fan of this film, Dion, would you recommend people go out and watch it like one time?
I mean, like honestly, I didn't say I wasn't a fan of the film. I just like I'm not a fan of the representation and the way that it's mattered. But I honestly say if you want to watch a very sweet film with some older like generational actors, like I mean, I love that Jane Fonda is now old enough to play her mother Ethel. She's definitely old enough to play Ethel now. Which is just would be a trip, wouldn't it, if she bought the rights and could remake the thing and she's playing Ethel this time around. I mean, that'd be funny. But like it's a sweet film. Like I think you would watch it if you were, doing something like that. Like, if you wanted to go down that kind of a memory road, or if you're worried about a parent for some reason, or you were just trying to understand how someone could literally complain about everything when they had a lake house. They had a lake house that they'd been coming to for decades, like literally another house that they can live in over a couple of months a year because it's beautiful, and a boat, and another canoe, and their own diving pontoon, and some wonderful person who would drive up in a boat every day and give you the mail. Like, how could you complain about that? But anyway, Norman does. Maybe I'm just, angry that I want to live on a lake house and no one's letting me.
Maybe you just want to be a curmudgeonly old man.
Yeah, absolutely. Privilege. I don't think I'd be curmudgeonly. I'd try not to be, unless you were making me watch On Golden Pond every day.
I can see you getting curmudgeonly.
Like, definitely. Oh, yeah.
I can see that for you.
I'm getting the rocking chair, the shotgun, the get off my lawn kids. And then they're like, sir, it's time for you to take your meds and go back to bed. You aren't allowed out of your room.
I mean, with the shotgun, you're just pivoting back to Hard Target.
No. wait for my Cajun accent. Oh. Yeah, there was no Cajun accent in On Golden Pond, and that was annoying.
There was no Cajun accent. Well, look, was there a Cajun accent in Hard Target? To be fair,
there was a whole mess of stuff in Hard Target. These are the things though. Like, I mean, On Golden Pond has some wonderful redeeming features, about the movie, but it does not have great character names. It doesn't have action set pieces. It doesn't have
somebody biting the tail of a rattlesnake.
John Woo standards. Where were the doves? Where were they leaping through the air firing two guns? That's what On Golden Pond doesn't have. But would you like to see?
I will concede that.
Yeah.
But I would say watch On Golden Pond. But I would also say good luck because you cannot actually legally buy it anywhere in Australia.
No, but you can acquire it.
Acquire On Golden Pond.
Yeah.
Don't accidentally watch the live telemovie with Julie Andrews, which is on YouTube. That's not the movie. If you can see Julie Andrews, you're not watching the right thing.
No, and also I couldn't even advocate for the fact that you could just type in to YouTube On Golden Pond full movie. Why would that be on there? I wouldn't even know. But yeah, do you want to go watch a clip? You want to see a clip of On Golden Pond about the final restitution between Jane Fonda's character, who I forgot what was her name.
Let's see a clip, because that does it pivots us really well into the main theme of the chat, which is difficult father-daughter relationships.
Yes. Okay, so let's have a look at Chelsea Thayer and Norman Thayer finally get their time to shine together on Golden Pond.
Maybe you and I should have the kind of relationship that we're supposed to have.
What kind of relationship is that?
Well, you know, like a father and a daughter.
Yeah, just in the nick of time, huh? Worried about the will, are you? Well, I'm leaving everything to you except what I'm taking with me.
Just stop it. I don't want anything. It seems that you and me have been mad at each other for so long.
I didn't know we were mad. I thought we just didn't like each other.
I want to be your friend.
Oh. This mean you come around more often? Mean a lot to your mother?
I'll come around more often.
No?
Yep. Oh, I got married in Brussels.
You did? In Brussels?
Uh-huh. He makes me very happy.
Well, good. Does he speak English?
Bill, I married Bill.
Bill? Oh, Bill! Good. Hey, I'm glad, Chelsea. That's fantastic.
What?
Is Billy going to be living with you?
Uh-huh.
Well, good. Isn't that something? Good for you.
In the city of New Orleans, in a darker side of Dixie, away from the music and the lights, there's a new game in town.
You'll be provided with a guide, trackers, and the weapons of your choice.
I need to file a missing person report.
The competitors are deadly.
We pride ourselves in hunting only combat veterans, men who have the necessary skills to make our hunts more interesting.
And they always win.
You want to find your father? Get somebody who knows the city to show you around.
Now, the opposition is about to get one last chance.
What kind of a name is Chance?
My mama took one.
My friend, Mr. Boudreaux, Silver Star, Marine Force Recon. He's obviously not someone we should underestimate. He is an annoying little insect. And I want him stepped on hard.
We need to get out of here now.
Ladies first.
What?
These men will chase after you. He mad at you for business or pleasure?
Both. Look at it this way. You're gonna get to meet Elvis. Give it a rest, pal.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is the hard target.
You miss me?
From internationally acclaimed action director John Woo.
How's it feel to be hunted? You tell me.
Hard target.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I am absolutely... Okay, finally, we get to the Oscar-worthy performance of the evening, which is Hard Target.
Mm-hmm. Which part of the performance in Hard Target is...
Any of them. Pick one.
Every performance?
Every single performance of this movie was a masterpiece in actish. Yes. Everyone in this film actished their role very well, and I thought there's a great school for actishing. Anyway, yeah, Hard Target. I feel like this is a Jean-Claude, like a JCVD Reese, but it is not, because I could go into Hard Target for years. One of the things that I want to do before I come back and relook at Hard Target in its own thing, would be to go and watch Hard Target 2, which I have not seen. So one of the things about this that surprised me when I went back to watch Hard Target for this one was I didn't know it got a sequel. And I was just absolutely blown away that there was a sequel released 23 years later.
What?
I know.
Why? But why? But why? But why?
Yeah, I know. And also,
what is the plot?
I agree, Rob. Why wasn't it called Target Harder? It's not. It's just called Hard Target 2. And fuck that. Anyway, so Hard Target 2. No, Hard Target first. The only one. The one. Starring some absolute doyens of the action movie system that are. You've got Jean-Claude Van Damme. You've got Yancey Butler, who you might remember from a lot of other shows. You've got Lance Henriksen. You've got Arnold Vosloo. You've got a bunch of stunties that you'll probably look at and be like, oh, wait, didn't that guy die in these other 3 action films that I've seen? He's like, yeah, that guy died. Anyway. And also, it's directed by John Woo. How could you be unhappy with this?
I mean, I'm unhappy. How could I be unhappy with this?
How could you be unhappy with this, Peter?
Well,
it's
I had to
John
watch
Woo.
I mean, I know John Woo. I get John Woo. This was a thing that I watched with my eyes.
You saw it. It came out in 1993.
I did not see it then. I saw it on the weekend.
Excellent.
I probably was a little bit too young for this movie in 1993, actually. We wouldn't have been allowed to watch such incredible violence.
Such incredible violence, but such creative violence in Hard Target. I mean, if there's one thing that you need to understand about this is they really turned it up to 11 in the creativity stakes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, high-powered assault crossbows or spear guns. Like they weren't crossbows because they didn't have that. They were just basically sniper rifles with an arrow in them. Is it a spear gun? I don't know.
Why not just use it, like at that point, just use a sniper rifle? I don't understand.
Yeah. Why is Jean-Claude Van Damme want to kick everyone? Why does he get to cock his leg like he's drawing it from a holster?
Oh, but why?
Yes, this was built for you. Like you were like sitting there going, "Wait, what are you going to make me watch?" And I'm like, "I want you to watch Hard Target because it will just be a succession of but whys coming out of your brain."
I would lie if I said I didn't have questions.
Yeah,
sure, I have questions. My first question, and it is a serious question, is how seriously are we supposed to take this movie? Like, is this satire, or when it was released, was this like serious action film?
This was a serious action film. Okay, so the background to this one was this was the first film for John Woo in like American mainstream. So his first American mainstream film. And he wanted to put Kurt Russell in it. That was his choice. And the studio was very nervous about having John Woo out because it was his first American one and they didn't know whether or not it would be successful. So basically they had Sam Raimi go down and shadow the production to make sure that it was going okay and he knew what he was doing and that he was there to basically take over, which is why I feel it has a lot of ridiculous shit in it. Like a bit of, it's kind of a satire because I think there's a bit of Raimi at work in there. It's like, no, it's fine. We're just going to make this funny. We're going to make this weird. It's okay. We don't have to go so hard. But
Target.
But like, I mean, it's just the worst. Like, it is the stupidest premise. Well, it's not actually. It's a pretty good. It's a pretty good premise actually, because it was based on the film Most Dangerous Game, I think. That was the one from 1932. It's like this is like a remake of a adaptation of the short story. I think The Most Dangerous Game, which is about hunting men for sport, and then they just updated it, put it in the 90s, whacked a fucking mullet on Jean-Claude Van Damme, set it in New Orleans or Nolans, and added a South African villain for flavor. And I was like, what is going on here? Who are we going to get to direct this? Oh, this Chinese action movie director. Wow. How does this work? Also, Wilford Brimley's in it. It's like, what? And yet,
The thing is, I don't think this is a poorly made film.
no, it's a very
just
well-made film.
ridiculous.
It's
But
dumb.
the ridiculousness is well made ridiculousness, but
Yes.
ridiculous nonetheless.
Yes. It's also kind of I'm trying to figure out when he like so just before this we've had like Bloodsport and Kickboxer for Jean-Claude Van Damme, and then he was in another action one, Death Warrant, and then he was in another one which was pretty much the same thing called Lionheart, and then he was in Double Impact, and then he was in fucking Universal Soldier. So like he is on a roll of going through the motions with this, and then he's in Hard Target. And it's kind of like, yeah, this is fine. This is amazing. And also at the same time, he was doing another one called Time Cop. All right. And also Street Fighter. Like, I think he's just saying yes to everything and trying his hand out at what's going on. So in this one, I don't know that he really cares. He's just like, yeah, sure, I'll turn up. What do I do? I want you to snap kick this guy. Great. Snap kick this guy.
Punch
Great.
this snake. Cool.
I think, in terms of the ridiculous stuff, most of these films could easily be considered a comedy.
Well, that was what my question was kind of based on. Is like it felt like a comedy to me, but was it supposed to be a comedy?
Yes. Well, I don't know. And come on, Chest Angela. Jean-Claude Van Damme has phoned in almost every single appearance that he's ever been in. I can't say that he was phoning this one in. I just don't think he was very convincing because I didn't buy him as a Cajun. Also, listen to this character description for, what is it? Chance Boudreau, a former United States Force Recon Marine who was also a merchant seaman, who is also homeless and out of work, and also a martial arts enthusiast. Like, that's just one character. The first character has a ridiculous name, Chance Boudreau.
One thing that I would say about this film is that it does make you think about the treatment of unhoused people.
True.
In general, particularly the scene where a particular character was like literally just about to be murdered and was screaming at people for help in the street, and they were like, "No, I don't want to give you money." And I was like,
Yep.
"Oh, that feels sad and true."
Yeah, that feels sad and true.
I'm not laughing at this scene, but I am also wondering why he's just running around the middle of the street and not trying to hide anywhere. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and this also came, very close after First Gulf War. But this was actually also a common, not problem, but a thing of veterans on the street that no one, knew what to do with.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of, it's not too far away.
It was a little bit saying something there, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose that they had good ideas in there, and they did it quite well. But then, you had people like Emile Fouchon. You remember Emile Fouchon? Or Lance Henriksen? Playing a villain with a ridiculous shotgun? What is that tiny shotgun? It's like a shot handgun? A shandgun.
Shandgun.
Shandgun. He's got a shandgun. Leave him alone. And his offsider, which is also one of the best fucking names in cinema, Pick Van Cleef. Pick Van Cleef. Of course he was from South Africa. Arnold Vosloo, who, was in The Mummy not long after this, was a great villain. But in this one, it was just kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't understand any of this. And, keeping up with it, you've got Yancy Butler as Natasha Binder, who is quite literally woman in film. Motivation for man to kick people, woman in film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost gets eaten by snake.
What woman in film
Yes.
must return to the scene of action purely so that she needs to be rescued at the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's her only point.
But she does shoot a guy in a dick and throw
Sure.
Chance a gun that he doesn't need because he's literally already holding one.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, and ably pointed out there in the chat. I know, yes, Yancy Butler also was Witchblade, or the Witchblade, which was a well, for the time, it was actually quite an important comic book adaptation TV series about a detective cop who finds an ancient gauntlet which, allows her to just kick the shit out of people and stab them. Would probably go off very well now, but, it's a bit dated by then. And of course, Wilford Brimley, who we have mentioned before, as Uncle Clarence Duvee, who's Chance Boudreau's uncle. It's kind of like, what are the names that you've got here? Have you just walked down Main Street of New Orleans and just gone, what's that one? Yeah, that'll do. Like, that guy'll do. This one will do. But I will give them extra credit for getting Wilford Brimley into a ponytail. Because he definitely has a really shitty ponytail. The heroes in this in this film are actually the hair and makeup department for making the heroes mulleted and ponytailed.
I mean, the mullet was extraordinary.
Yeah, the mullet was extraordinary. I think one of the things that the most ridiculous, like, I mean, a lot of stuff in Hard Target is ridiculous, but the most ridiculous thing is the fact that Jean-Claude Van Damme is wearing a trench coat in New Orleans. Like, it's 150 degrees normally. In New Orleans, no way you're going to be wearing jeans and a trench coat just hanging around.
It's such a hard look.
Well, thankfully, he's a hard target.
Hard man.
It's a hard man and a
I have
hard
to say,
target.
if you could bottle toxic masculinity and pour it into a movie, this would probably be it.
Are you sure it's toxic masculinity? Because that only comes from a specific region.
I'm sorry, we need to call it sparkling masculinity.
No, yeah, sparkling dudes.
One of my questions that I had about this film,
Sure, hit me with
was
them.
how many times do
I've
you
got good
have
answers.
to shoot someone?
Depends. Like, standard action fare is it the main villain?
No, just the henchman.
Main henchman. Okay, so if it's main henchman, it's a good 2 to 3, just in case.
Oh, no, there was more than 2 to 3. Like, literally everyone that he killed was like 7, 8 times. I'm like, conserve your ammunition, man. Like, there are like 20 dudes here.
Yeah. Just remember. Yeah.
Pow, pow, pow.
Just remember though, you've got to keep shooting them, or their health bar regenerates when they get up again, because you've got to have round 2 for the fights and things. Look, I don't know. Like, this film just has one of the stupidest metrics based on anything. It's like, you're running a homeless person to the ground, and they're still able to get almost all the way out of the city when people on motorbikes and they're being corralled, like all that kind of weird shit is going on. And they get taken out by just a tiny wisp of a bullet. But if you're important to the plot, then you can absorb a lot of damage. And especially Chance. Chance can absorb so much damage. See how much damage you can fit on him here.
Yeah, whereas that poor cop only was able to absorb 1 bullet, and he's like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah.
She gets shot like once in the shoulder. No, she's gone.
No, she's
also,
gone now.
why was she like, sure, homeless man and strange woman, come and investigate this with me like you're my partners for like a moment there.
I
like,
know,
oh, let's
right?
go check it out. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, who are you again? Chance Boudreau. I used to be in the Marines, and then I was a merchant seaman, but I'm currently jobless and homeless.
Excellent. Get in my police car and come and investigate the crime with me.
Yes, we should go and look at this. You look like a nice person off the street. Your mullet looks very authoritative. Let's go do that.
I did have one little action bugbear towards the end when the big bad gets shot with a shotgun in the back of the shoulder and somehow is blown backwards. I had to rewind that a couple of times to be like, what just happened?
Yes, that's kind of
Don't ask why.
acceptable. Yes, we were like, that's not one that you go, it was a mirror image. You were watching it in a mirror. That's what happened. Like the shot from outside was fine, but it was actually a reflection that you're doing. Look, all we get to know is he got a grenade in his pants. He got the fuck blown out of him.
Were there any memorable one-liners before the hero killed someone, says Rob? I've already blocked out most of the script from my brain. Dion?
No, because none of these are worth any memory apart from, why you named Chance. It's because my mama took one. It's kind of like it's all very dumb. I don't have any memorable lines out of this. I think it's just kind of an assault to the senses of ridiculous. Like the only thing that gets it for me was and where I knew that this was a farce, and I totally see Sam Raimi's hand in this, was using grabbing the snake and letting it flick up like it was a fucking curtain kind of thing. That I was like, what in merry fuck is going on here? It's the dumbest thing. Also, biting the rattle off a snake to make it angry, yet not controlling its head.
I thought biting the rattle of the snake off the snake was to make it so that the bad guys wouldn't know it was there.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like,
no rattle.
Biting the head. But I mean, this isn't a film that you go for because you want one-liners or you're interested in plot. You're wondering how it's going to make fun action sequences happen. Well, not even fun, just action sequences happen. And anyone that can convince Wilford Brimley to ride a horse away from an explosion. And this is where I come back to Cocoon. Because if on Golden Pond was an exploration into getting old and worrying about dying and feeling worthless in your life, you just have to move that person over and show them Wilford Brimley in Hard Target, who is kind of old age goals for me. Yeah, I want to live in a swamp. Not a swamp. It's too hot. I don't want to live in a swamp. I want to live in a forest somewhere where it's nice and cool. What is he doing? Making booze and, shooting at people who come on his property. That's me. Done. I'll do that. Make sure I kept your old daddy's shotgun in my rafter.
So this surpasses your Norman Thayer goals.
No, I want both. I just want to be Wilford Brimley on Golden Pond. Right. Does that make sense? And eventually, when I get old enough, the aliens will come down and take me off to their planet where I'll live youthfully forever. I.e. Cocoon. We all know what's actually going to happen, though, is I'm going to get diabetes and die. Much like Wilford Brimley.
I mean, that's, fairly, that's just depressing, Neil. That's really brought the mood down, I feel.
Well, it's not going to be for at least 6 to 7 months.
Amazing.
Amazing. So, question that I have for you, Pete, has this convinced you that you could hunt someone for sport?
No.
Oh, too dangerous? Worried you're going to run into someone?
To be honest, I actually didn't find that part of the plot that far-fetched. I was like, yeah, people are dicks. Rich people are especially dicks. Like, I could see this happening.
Also, you're afraid that you might, kill someone and their daughter may come looking for you with her out of work ex-Marine merchant seaman who's homeless.
Yeah.
Because he rescued her from getting mugged.
God, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, can we talk about that for a second?
Let's look at it. And then,
okay, let's look at it.
Yeah, because I do have this clip, and we'll play this one clip because it is very funny. So this is the one where Natasha Binder has been busted paying for something in cash, as you would do in a cafe in New Orleans, but unfortunately has shown too much cash. So that means that she's going to get mugged in broad daylight by at least 6 guys. And the only one that can stop them is Chance Boudreau.
Hi, He hasn't. No, that's fine. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, pretty lady.
Leave me the hell alone.
We'll take it. How about a little extra, honey?
You having fun?
Why don't you do yourself a favor, boy?
I think the favor gonna be done for you. It's okay. I said get lost. Now take your big stick and your boyfriend and find a bus to catch.
Oh, this guy's funny.
Oh my god, that was so amazing.
Toxic masculinity in a bottle.
What are you talking about? That wasn't
I could
toxic.
just like imagine like kids, young boys in the early 90s seeing this film and just having this fantasy that some woman is going to need his help. and for him to render that help, it's going to be beating up a bunch of other guys.
Not beating up a bunch of other guys, just kicking them so he didn't get his hands dirty.
Beating up a bunch of other guys with his foot.
Thank goodness they all attacked him one-on-one like every street fight I've ever seen.
And then that's handy when they do that. But what I also love about that is like, just like straight off the bat, like the woman puts herself in danger by revealing too much. How careless and naive.
At least in this one, she was revealing too much wealth and not too much booty.
Yeah.
So it wasn't her outfit.
I feel like the parallel was implied though.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean,
Yeah,
I
no,
also
I
go
feel
like
I feel like the parallel was implied.
Like, hey, what are they trying to make New Orleans out to be? Is just like, well, you're probably going to get mugged and assaulted in broad daylight on the street going to your car, so don't go to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like when there are definitely bystanders watching, because there was one of those shots after he walks out that there are like at least two people in the background going, "What's going on there?" You know. It's very strange, but okay. Did you not love the scene? I mean, apart from, and I'll agree with the chat there, going, yeah, it's very music video. Love the scene where he literally cocks his leg and pulls his coat back, like, watch out, guys, my leg's cocked, rocked, and ready to go. I'm gonna kick you. And it's pretty much his signature moves for the rest of the movie. Is like, I'm gonna kick you. You know, doesn't matter where you are, I'm gonna kick you.
I thought it was funny because it's like the move that, like, you in a Western you would see, like, that's where you reveal, oh, I have a gun, don't fuck with me. But he like does it to reveal nothing but his leg.
Yeah. It's just.
I kind of get that kind of still takes the bad guys by surprise because they're like, well, you got nothing, man.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean,
you know, he starts.
I also agree, you know, with the fact the music in it is quite good. If there's one thing I could say about Hard Target is that the music's pretty fun. You know, some of the scenes are like quite very John Wooey. I mean, you still get the dubs, you get the jumping through the air, firing a gun. You get the standoff where two people are back to back on a wall and they turn around and start firing at each other. Like all the John Woo bits are in the film. Is it a good film? Probably not. But
look, I didn't hate it. Actually.
See?
Like I said, I think it was a well-made film. It's just like so ridiculous.
I love the idea though of you taking it more as like it's a comedy. It's a like I mean if you can watch this and laugh, fine. It's not a movie where I'll be like,
and I that's what I was kind of doing. I was like, I feel like this is a comedy, so I'm going to watch a comedy.
yeah,
And as an action comedy, it's entertaining.
yeah, it's kind of fun. It definitely not terrible. And if you wanted to watch something like on the same like kind of vein, but is a straight kind of action sci-fi, go and watch Time Cop, because that's literally the same kind of time. And I think in Time Cop, his hair is slightly different. It's a slightly different mullet. But if you understand that they were both pretty much filmed at the same time, you're like, oh, like you flew from Chicago to New Orleans to film these two films back to back weekends. You're like, oh, okay, I'm getting what you're doing now.
So do I watch Time Cop as a comedy, or do I just go into that saying this is a straight action film?
I think you'll go into it and you'll be like, oh, I'm waiting for the comedy. It's like, oh, wait, no, this is just this. They're playing it straight. Oh, okay. Oh, that's not it. This is not as great a film. Like Hard Target is a fun time because it's dumb. Like this is one that I go, yeah, throw popcorn at the screen because it's dumb.
Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. That's
yeah.
kind of what it does feel like a fun, like if I had gone to see this at the cinema in the early 90s, I wasn't 7 at the time, I would have been. This is a fun time.
Yeah, like I mean, and it kind of was. It had the sort of bits that you need. I think for a good action film, especially if it's dumb, is something to latch onto, like a cool villain, an interesting way that they fight each other, or just a kind of a little hook in there that's kind of like, oh, that's cool. That's something for me to hook into. Do you remember the Speary Brothers Undead film?
I loved that film.
Yeah, I mean, and that had you hooked immediately from the start, being absolutely fucking dumb, because there was a guy on the front, like on the poster, with a tri-shotgun. It's a shotgun with 3 barrels. Now that is, you don't need to watch the film because all you want to do is go and see the movie for the 3-barreled shotgun. Hard Target is much the same. And they kind of understood that, I think, with the poster, because they had like the arrow motif kind of thing. But I swear they could have, like, they just didn't quite know how to like wrap it all together.
Yeah, I mean, they had Jean-Claude Van Damme. Did they need anything else?
Well, they had Lance Henriksen and his Shandgun. The Shandgun. Yeah, I'm gonna hunt people for sport. Why is that? Why is that weird?
So what's next on the list for JCVD Reese? Is it Time Cop?
Is it Time Cop? No. I still got to go back and figure out what I was watching, on the, like, at the time. Where is the bit that I got through? Like, Hard Target's a bit too later on. Like, I still haven't done Universal Soldier. That came out before this. I was trying to go through in the series of the ones that I'd watched at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Universal Soldier is still also a very straight action film without much funny bits in it. We'll get there. We don't have to. I keep threatening doing more Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I don't think that the audience is really screaming out for it. Just as you weren't screaming out for this one. But if I made you watch Hard Target, you were going to make me watch On Golden Pond.
But I just feel like it's fair. I feel like it's fair, and like I feel like we should all be able to bring some stuff to the table that, like, you know what, this was my favorite film as a child, and I think that we should all watch it and enjoy it together. Because I feel like that's part of what we do here.
Sure. It gives me a greater understanding as to your you as a person. I understand that. You've got a bit of On Golden Pond in you. I understand that. I just hope a little bit of Hard Target has rubbed off on you now, and you can appreciate the mullet or, Cajun references.
But I said, Dion, I don't think I'll ever appreciate a mullet. I feel like that's just beyond me.
Sure. Should I grow one? I can try for one. I could go for a mullet. I'm unsupervised for 5 weeks.
I mean, if you want a mullet, you should have a mullet. The 90s is back in a lot of ways. You could,
I mean,
you could give it a go.
I understand that the 90s, the 80s, the 80s has just finished having its time because now it's finished. Now people are like, no, we'll do the 90s and then the 2000s. And I'm like, I was there. I saw it all. The romanticized aspect of both of what's happening in the 90s and the early 2000s is going to be bad because we'll be sitting there going, it wasn't like that. Your idea of what it was is more romantic than what it was actually like. Anyway, but that's just me. Can I interest you in more Jean-Claude Van Damme films, Peter? Or are you going to like throw more Oscar-worthy, nuanced performances at me that I should watch?
I mean, let's see how the mood strikes next time we decide.
Sure.
Next time we decide to do it. Brand in the chat is asking, but do you appreciate John Woo? And yes, obviously I appreciate John Woo. I think John Woo is the reason that I actually kind of enjoyed parts of this movie.
Sure. Is he like the thing? Can you say John Woo? John Woo.
I would definitely watch more silly action films with you, Dion. I don't mind a silly action film.
Oh dear, Peter. Oh dear.
Wait, don't open up that box.
Yes. I have such things to show you, Peter.
One at a time, like every so often I'll watch it.
I can highly recommend a double feature for you. You've got Hot Shots and Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
if you're
come on.
Anything, I'm just going to go watch a nice, dialogue-driven, character-driven piece again.
Yeah, okay, so Biodome.
Okay, how about we do Biodome and Empire Records?
Biodome and Empire Records. Oh, no, I can't watch Biodome again. I know, I'm sorry I threw that one out there. That's bad, but I will watch Encino Man at any time.
Oh, okay, well there you go. That's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, we can work on all that sort of stuff. Speaking of stuffs to watch, it is Spooktober, and what are we watching for the rest of the month? I know you don't really know because you've been somewhere really busy being all important and stuff on a stage and doing the things.
So you don't expect me to answer that, do you? Because
No.
I'm just doing what I'm told on a weekly basis at this stage.
Yeah, no, we've got, and this may help you to refresh, and for everyone else out there, it's no more complicated things like I was trying to search for a hard target on Golden Pond. That's not what's happening. Next week's very simple homework is Werewolf by Night, which you can go out and watch now, or from last Friday on the Disney Plus. We'll find there. Go watch Werewolf by Night. We'll be doing that on the 18th, and then we're going to be reviewing Black Adam on the 25th. So there are some dark and gritty things. And honestly, we've been having a good time with watching the wrap up to She-Hulk, and everyone has been watching Andor and quite enjoying it. And everyone's been watching The Lord of the Rings, and we're not even going to really mention the other incest show. But there has been scuttlebutt of people wanting to come back and talk about other shows that we've kind of either touched on or haven't had a chance to look at once they've all wrapped up. So people have asked, maybe we can do a wrap-up show, maybe an extra one, or it will be the 1st of November. We haven't decided yet. Don't forget to go onto the periodic table nerd thread for everything else. One of the groups there, because it has the poll about what's coming up this month, or it should do. I haven't done that yet. I don't know. Things have gone a little pear-shaped. I've just been left on my own. People have got to PAX. You went to New York. I've just been left alone. I don't know what I'm doing.
I want to know when we're talking about The Bear, because that rated well on the last poll, and we both watched it now.
Yeah, I watched The Bear. I'm a fan of Ketamine Gene Wilder. Let's go. Oh, yes, Freddie Kanga. Yeah, we need to come back and watch C. The C season 3 has finally come out. Like Apple TV can do no wrong, and everyone needs to watch C as a 1, 2, 3 season. Get it? 1, 2, 3 season. Season. Okay, fine.
So I'm just clearing up for anybody who didn't actually watch the C review. The answer to that question is no, thank you.
Oh yeah, God Bless America is quite funny. I've seen that one too. I love all these things. Yes, thank you for the chat. It's been great. Edge Runners, yeah, there's been quite a lot out. We've just kind of been busy and everyone's had other like kind of bits and pieces to do. There's still a lot of things out there and it's hard to figure out, but we will get there. We will definitely get there. Okay, thanks, Pete. I had a nice time on Golden Pond.
I had a decent time on Hard Target.
So I like that. It's like, I know some on Golden Pond. Yeah, Hard Target was
And
good
Hard
too.
Target was fine.
It was hard to watch. Go out and get on Golden Pond. It's a nice little lovely film.
Let me know if you watch it what you think.
Sure.
Because, we all love chatting about the things that we love. That's why we're here.
Sure. You can get onto Peter's kink of on Golden Pond.
Yeah.
I feel that's good. Yes, thank you everyone in the chat. We'll see you next week. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. Deep-powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have him teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. With martial arts from iron fist and wall, I'll dap her up and teach her all my songs. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now. I wanna yell out Avengers assemble, not order up for Ethel. Yeah, we're out of cheeky now. Date Emma Frost and have her read my mind. Or Magdalena, her artifacts I find, and then we catch a symphony. It'll just be her and me. Call Bucky Barnes and arm wrestle for hours. This NMA and bring her lots of flowers. Oh, at all the trendy bars and be a guy's night out. We'd make that wolf pack now. I'd run with Flash and do a marathon. Vacation to the Savage Land for fun. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of. I wanna live in a world full of heroes. Have NPR and CNN describe the latest team. I wanna tuck my kids inside and read them stories of superhuman glory while the sleepy faces beam. Go! I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not sit here counting zeros in a cubicle downtown. I wanna look out my window, see 'em flying, and swing across the horizon as I cheer 'em on so proud. Deep-powered girl keeps staring at her face, and call Colossus and have him teach me ways, and then we'd exercise. I'd be one of the guys. With martial arts from iron fist and wall, I'll dap her up and teach her all my songs. Oh, I wanna live in a world full of heroes, not cooking up these heroes at my parents' restaurant now.